Hi, everyone. I'm Rupert. Welcome to Google Partners Academy. Today, very excited to help you learn about some exciting features that we have at Edwards. And also, today, we're going to cover some product updates. First of all, Google Partners Academy 2018 website is online. So you could check our new training schedule. The latest training is Fast Forward. If you want to learn more about what is the Fast Forward training, definitely please go on the Google Partners Academy website to learn more. Other than the new training schedule, we also have quite a lot certificate that we offer for our learners. So you can see here that we have this 专员挑战 2018 that if you want to learn more about this exam, then please go to this events with google.com Specialist Challenge 2018 HKTW. Please do this by March 30 because you need to enroll by March 30 to be able to take the exam. And after you complete the exam, that we will give you the certificate to honor your accomplishments. All right, enough about our Google Partners Academy program. Today, we're going to cover three main topics. One is the new product updates. The second part is advertising of the future. So this section, we're going to focus on, some of the common challenges that we have seen across our advertisers, and especially regarding optimizing performance product. And we're also going to introduce exciting features that we have. We call it 3As. So these 3As are basically the summation of audience, auto-bidding, and attribution. So we're going to tell you how to use our audience, auto-bidding, attribution features to overcome those challenges. And the last bit is definitely the Q&A. So we will save some time for the Q&A. So during the presentation, if you have any questions, please write up your questions on the right-hand side of the live stream that you should be able to see a space for you to put in your questions. And we will answer all your questions at the end of this session. All right, so just a little bit introduction of myself. I'm Rupert Lai. I'm the product specialist at the Google Marketing Solutions team. I look after the client in the Greater China region, including mainland China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. I'm originally from Taiwan. And today I'm going to use English to present the training. All right, let's start with the first section of today's training. The first one is the product updates. So the product that we're going to cover, the new exciting features that we have at Gmail ads. So I don't explain why that you should definitely use our Gmail ads because as you know that we have the widest user coverage across the globe, and Gmail users are 100% sign-in, and also a lot of our users are actually cross-device users, so you can use Gmail ads to target people on the go. In Gmail ads, as we see, there should be a different type of campaign, separate from the search and display. Traditionally, it was under display ads, but we see that there's a lot more, unique features that we could offer for the Gmail ads. So right now, if you go to our AdWords, that you'll be able to see that under the Gmail, under display, there's a Gmail campaign. And you can set up the Gmail campaign under the display in the AdWords platform. And in terms of the ad creation, that you can now upload your images to our new ad creation platform. And as you can see here, that after you upload, that our system will automatically help you rearrange the pictures and images. And it was, as you can see here, that this is the uploaded picture from users, and it all rendered beautifully based on the email layout. And other than those ad creation features, we also have new features on audience targeting. So Gmail ads now allow you to remarket to site visitors. So you can reach people who visit your website through the Gmail ads. Other than the remarketing, that we also have a different kind of audience targeting options. The one is definitely the household income. And right now it's available in the US, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. So if you have advertisers that are targeting customers in this region, that you can now use our household income. So this will allow you to do a more granular targeting based on the demographics. In addition to the household income, we also have the live events targeting. That if you want to target people, who recently graduated from college, or who recently relocated, or who recently got married, that you can use our live events targeting in a Gmail ads campaign. And also, other than the household income, and also the live events, you can also target people based on their consumer patterns in the Gmail ads, including people who shop frequently at the grocery, or people who dine out at coffee shops or restaurants. You can target all these different kind of consumer patterns in our Gmail ads. So this is the introduction to our Gmail ads features. If you want to learn more about and try the Gmail ads, please contact our Google account managers to learn about more. We definitely want to see this Gmail ads bring performance for your clients. So moving on to the second section, I'm just gonna do a quick introduction that for the second section, advertising of the future, that we're going to have a mini challenge. We're going to talk a little bit more about what is the 3A, but this is just to let you know that if you implement the 3As, which is what we cover shortly, for at least 5 of your key CIDs, that you'll be able to receive a prize from Google. And just remember to register online before April 10th. We will give you a further introduction on this after today's session. So now we're going to talk a bit more about what is advertising of the future. And today you're going to learn about to overcome the challenges of the advertising, that you need to definitely get familiarized with the 3A solution that we offer. So a lot of people ask me, what is the top performance product that AdWords have? I think this is a hard question to answer, because we actually have quite a lot of performance product in the Google advertising world. So I just list out these 3, but definitely not limited to these 3. So what I've seen quite used quite often by our advertisers are these 3 different performance products. One is dynamic remarketing, the second one is shopping ads, and the third one is search. So all these 3 are quite commonly used by, particularly the performance clients. Dynamic remarketing, if you guys don't know, basically it's a dynamic ads that are able to remarket users, and also you will show the relevant ads based on the user's site visiting behavior. So for example, if you're a fashion, if you're selling a fashion product as an advertiser, and your user visit your website and browse shoes, and our ads will be showing all the different kind of relevant shoes to this particular user, because we already find out that this user is interested in shoes product. So this is a dynamic marketing that will be able to show the relevant ads, dynamic ads based on different product categories, and cater for user site behavior. Shopping ads. So shopping ads use merchant product data and to decide, how and where to show the most relevant shopping ads to customers. This is also very popular performance product that we have, especially for the e-commerce advertisers. And search, definitely, a lot of our clients, have been using Google search for quite a long time. Search is all about, optimize across the brand search terms and generic search terms. So speaking about the challenges, I'm just going to take search optimization, for example. So what you see here is a typical process that we have seen, across advertiser when it comes to optimizing a search campaign. So the first step is always about consuming spend. And this is very important because, especially for people working in agencies, you always have to make sure that you consume the budget that you should on a daily basis. But the challenge that we have seen is that sometimes that a lot of our agency partners, they just spend too much time making sure they consume the budget and save very little time in terms of optimizing a campaign. So I think this is a very common situation that we have seen across our agency. Account managers, they just spend quite a lot of time to make sure they actually consume the spend of the advertisers, but spend very little time on optimizing the campaign. Once they have the time to optimize the campaign, we also see that it's very difficult for human beings to optimize a campaign perfectly because there are too many metrics to look at. For a search campaign, you have to look at the search page ranking, you have to look at the click-through rate, you have to look at the day part, you have to look at the conversion rate, you have to look at the CPC, the CPA. There's so many metrics to look at, when it comes to optimizing a campaign. So we also see that this is one of the pain points, of optimizing the campaign on AdWords. And once you are able to, consume the budget and you pick a couple metrics to look at when optimizing the campaign, the next step is definitely that you need to adjust bids and also shift budget. And this is also quite complicated because from what we see that is that a lot of our agency account managers spend quite a lot of time every day just to adjust budget of the bids. Or say, for example, today I'm going to change bid up for 20%. Tomorrow I'm going to change for 25%. And the next day I'm going to change to decrease by 10%. So a lot of our account managers at agency, what they do is just changing bid adjustment on a daily basis and also shifting budget from one ad group to the other. This also takes up quite a lot of time, and it could also be a very complicated process. And the last one is definitely, from what we see is that, a lot of our account manager at the agency spend too much time just optimizing on numbers, but not on the campaign itself. So when you are optimizing the campaign, you look at all these metrics and you change bid adjustment, you change budget, but you don't really look at the campaign from a very strategic perspective. Whether this is a creative, working for the client, whether this is the audiences that client intended to target, whether the landing page is optimized, whether the creative copy is optimized. So we have seen that quite a lot of our account managers at agency side actually just pay attention to those numbers too closely and overlook some of other important optimization levers, including audience, device path. Device path is very important because now we have seen people have 3 or 4 devices on average. So it's important to identify what is the device path for user to convert, and what is the keywords path for user to convert, and what is the best media strategy, across search, display, and shopping, and also what are some areas that we could test, conducting A/B tests on creative copies or conduct A/B tests on strategies. But all these things are very important, but most of the time that you don't have you don't have those the bandwidth to optimize a campaign based on this different type of factors. You just spend so much time on consuming budget or looking at metrics and reporting, and also changing bid adjustment, shifting budget. This is what we see, a common challenge across all our agency partners. So back to this, the 3 performance product that we have just talked about, that you can see that, for dynamic remarketing, most of the time that we see the challenges lies in, getting incremental conversion. Because when you are doing just remarketing, most of the time that you probably will see great performance at the beginning, but somehow after a period of time that you no longer have seen incremental conversions, and you also don't have new visitors visiting the client website. For shopping ads, definitely, shopping ads are very complicated, and it's always very difficult to optimize on CPA or ROI. And as we just seen, there are too many variables to look at, when it comes to optimizing a campaign, including day part, click-through rate, conversion rate, creative audiences. There's just simply too many factors that you need to consider when you're optimizing a campaign. In search ads, the common challenges that we have seen is definitely, how to best optimize between generic search and brand search. Because generic search, definitely you will see that based on the last trick attribution, it's usually won't be able to get a good CPA, because it's usually not the last touch point when it comes to a user's conversion journey. And brand search term usually getting the last click. People usually search the brand terms before they convert, but brand search terms are really difficult to scale, so you don't get much conversion volume just optimizing on brand search terms alone. So all these are the common challenges that we have seen, across a lot of advertisers. And the 3A that we are going to talk about today is actually going to help you to overcome all these challenges. So, conversion volume, and also balancing between existing customer and new customer, that you definitely need to focus on a perfect audience solution. And we're going to talk a little bit more about, what are the Google audience targeting options that we could offer for you and your advertisers. And when it comes to optimization, that we all know that there are many factors that you could consider when it comes to optimizing a campaign. And our automated bidding solution will help you, to listen to all these different kind of data signals and use our machine learning algorithm to help you automatically bid based on the best result. So this will save your time to making manual adjustment on a daily basis, and then you'll be able to spend more time on the strategy and also on the creative. And the last one is attribution, which is the last A of the 3 A's. So attribution definitely will allow you to correctly identify the value of each touch point across a purchase journey. And this is very important, especially for search campaign, where we typically see, people starting their search from very generic terms and then end up getting more and more specific to the brand search. And usually, if you do the last click attribution, the brand search terms will get the most credit. But this type of attribution often overlook the generic search terms. So with the right attribution, that you'll be able to correctly identify the value of each touch point, so you can make a balance between the generic search and brand search. So without further ado, we're going to talk about all these three A, starting from audience, and then we will follow with the automated bidding, and lastly we will talk about attribution. We're also going to have AdWords demo in between, so you'll be able to see how to implement the 3 A's for your AdWords account. And this is very important because remember that we talk about that we're going to have a mini challenge, So the challenger will ask you to implement this 3A solution for your top accounts. And once you do that, they'll be able to receive a little prize from Google. So first question, how to correctly target audience and how to balance between remarketing and prospecting. So this is the very common question that we have seen across advertisers, and you cannot, answer this question without referring to the marketing funnel. So what you're seeing here is the idea marketing funnel. I think this is very 101, but just to reiterate, to allow you, to have a clear picture of how marketing works. So, for a product services sale, you usually start with, building a branding, and with the brand awareness, they'll be able to cultivate loyalty, bring prospecting customers, and for digital campaign, then you'll be able to get people to visit your website, and then you'll be able to collect remarketing lists, and then you'll be able to run remarketing campaign. And remarketing campaign will allow you to convert those customers. And along the funnel, as you can see here, that upper funnel requires long-term branding, and also always incurs a higher CPA because it takes time and investment to convert a user if they don't have any brand awareness. So upper funnel always takes the longest time to get people to convert. And targeting audiences are usually focused on a demographic and interest, and this is very typical for CPG advertisers who want to build up their brand equity. So they invest quite a lot on branding. Mid funnel, so those will be for the people who want to target customer and build consideration. And for mid funnel audiences, that Google targeting solution include custom intent in market and similar audience. I'm going to talk a little bit more about these three type of audiences shortly. The lower funnel, I believe this is very familiar by our advertisers because lower funnel is all about using client data that people who visit the client website, that you could do remarketing on display. People who visit the client website, and search for the client branded terms, that you can do remarketing list for search ads, RLSA. And also, if our client are collecting Gmail and phone number of their loyalty customers, that they can use our customer match, to be able to reach those loyal customers. So for lower funnel, it's always incurring the lowest CPA and also has the highest ROI. But having said that, a lot of our advertisers, what we've seen, some of the biggest pitfall that we have seen across our advertisers, that they just focus on, one of the funnels, especially the lower funnel, and without paying attention to the mid funnel and upper funnel. So today we're gonna, basically educate our client about, what is the right way to target our audiences, and definitely use this structure to explain to your client as well. Start ideal audience solution should start with identify the customers, because the client customers is a gold mine, for their business. So identify existing audiences is always the primary task to work on in the first place. Identify existing audiences. What you can do is definitely using our tagging solution to build remarketing lists. I believe this is very familiar practices to all of you. And once you identify your site visitors and your customers, that you start consider re-engaging with them. So re-engage with the people that you know. You can do it through remarketing or retargeting lists for search ads, or through the customer match. And all this will leverage the remarketing list that you identify at the step one. But having step one and step two is not enough. You also need to expand your audiences, because it's important for a business to grow by investing in targeting new customers. having existing customer is not enough. It's always important to expand your audience pool by targeting new prospects. So expand to the people that you know. Expand to the people that you don't know is very important, because having a new customer will be able to help you to bring in new business. So re-engage. So we already spent quite a lot about this. For advertiser, they could do display remarketing on AdWords. They can also do remarketing lists for search ads, and also customer match. This will help them to re-engage to the people who visited their website, and also who have purchased the product and services that advertisers have. Today we're going to talk a little bit more on the expand part, because we find out this is the most overlooked solution across a lot of our advertisers. So similar audiences, basically those are the new user who are similar to the client existing customers. So think of it as a lookalike audiences, and this is very important for advertisers to target, because using our machine learning, they will be able to find users who are similar to our clients' customers. In addition to the similar audience, we also have a market audience. So a market audience would be people who are considering purchase for particular products. For example, that if our client is in apparel industry, they will be able to find out people who are interested in buying yoga apparel, running apparel, or active wear. So all this is based on consumer data, and they will be able to help advertisers to find out the people who are considering buying apparel based on our search and site browsing behaviors. Custom intent audiences, this is a new features that we have, and can currently be used for display campaign. So custom intent allow our advertiser to package an audience based on keywords and URLs. We're gonna cover this a bit further in the following slides. So similar audience. So similar audience, as we just talk about, those are the audiences that are sharing similar behavior as a client site visitors, but they are not the client site visitor. They're still new. So this is actually opens up a new revenue opportunity for our advertiser, because we are using our machine learning to find out people who are showing similar search behavior and browsing behavior as a client site visitor, but haven't visited the client website. And our similar audiences are usually 3 times to 5 times larger than the remarketing list of an advertiser. So it's still scalable, but it's not like everyone included, because we use our machine learning to find out the people who are similar. So it's not simply just spray and paint. So still, this is a user that we have considered are most relevant to advertiser based on the search behavior and browsing behavior. And the key benefit of using similar audience, definitely one is the scale, because a lot of the time that we have seen across advertisers is that if you just retarget, that you are not able to increase your conversion volume after a period of time. So it's important to open a new business by targeting similar audience, so you'll be able to expand your reach and scale your audience. Other than scale, definitely our similar audience is simply generated by our system. So there's no manual work on your end to create similar audience. It will be automatically created in a system. So so this helps you to simply simplify the setup of targeting similar audiences. And data algorithms, no need to say. The similar audience is definitely based on the Google data that we have, based on the search behavior, browsing behavior, with the reach that we have across our the Google platform, Gmail, GDN, search, that we'll be able to reach quite a high percentage of the users in every market, and then we will have a massive amount of data signals allow us to model and use our algorithm to help advertisers to reach similar audiences. And performance, so we have seen that a similar audience is best performed by using our smart bidding. So we'll talk a little bit more about smart bidding in the following slides. But audience targeting is not enough. That you also need to use our auto bidding feature. Auto bidding is also named as a smart bidding. We see that the best performance would happen if you use audience targeting combined with auto bidding. And right now, you currently can use similar audience for search and display campaign. You cannot use similar audience for video yet, but for search and display campaign, that you can now use similar audience targeting. So the second type of prospecting audience is in-market. So in-market, we got a lot of questions, from client. How is it different from, a typical affinity interest type audiences? So here is a good example for you. What is the difference between an auto affinity and auto in-market? So I think the simple answer to that is that the in-market audiences will have a higher intent signal. So auto affinity will be people who read articles about sports cars or watch videos about cars. But in-market audiences for auto would be the people who compare prices between different car models, or who search for specific car features such as the car's safety. So these are the type of audiences that definitely show a higher intent of buying a car, because with the intent they have would help drive them to compare prices, and also they're also more specific about what they want to know about car features. So all these are the people who are actually showing a high intent in terms of cars compared to the auto affinity audiences. And also, one thing to highlight is that 65% of the users in our in-market list will be left out of the list after a week. So what it means that that we regularly refresh our in-market audiences, because this is all based on the real-time data signals, including search and browsing behavior. So 65% of the user in the in-market, will be left out in a week. So they will be able to get refresh users in the in-market audiences. Example of that would be people who compare prices of the car this week. If they don't do that next week, it's very likely they will be removed from our in-market audiences. So this will help us to make sure that our in-market audiences are always refreshed and are always relevant and are always in real time. And here is a taxonomy of our in-market audiences. As you can see, we have 18 different kind of categories. And under each category, we also have sub categories. And as you can see, this covers quite a lot of the category of the clients. So definitely use it when you see relevant. For example, Hong Kong is very financial focused. So definitely use our financial services in market audiences for your financial clients. So lastly, for the audience targeting solution would be the custom intent. So custom intent is currently available for display campaign only. And how to create the custom intent. So firstly, you will start with choosing at least 15 keywords and URLs. And once you use those keywords and URLs and put it in our system, and our system will recommend additional keyword terms that you should consider. And also you can add URLs to provide additional context. For example, like if you are an advertiser, say selling a fashion product, then you probably will add your own branded URL and also add the URL of your competitor who also sell fashion product, shoes and clothes. And one thing to remember is a lot of our client would like to add their Facebook or other Instagram social media pages. Um, we don't recommend doing that because any social media require logging would not be able to help us generate a custom intent. So we will ask our advertisers to focus on putting the URLs of their own website and also putting the URLs of their competitors. So example of this would be, one of our furniture category advertisers, because they're selling furniture. So when they create a custom intent, they will use keywords including all kinds of furniture, sofas, love seats, sleeper sofas. And in terms of URL, IKEA is one of the top brand in a furniture category. So if you are competing with IKEA in the furniture category, then you definitely should put IKEA's URL. So this is are the best practices of putting the most relevant keywords and URLs when it comes to creating the custom intent. And to summarize the audience segmentation, here, as you can see that, we have quite a lot of targeting solutions for all these different kind of verticals. And in take finance, for example, if you are working with a finance client, bank or credit loans type of customers, that you definitely should communicate this different kind of Google targeting solution that we have. Definitely, first one is definitely making sure they are leveraging their own remarketing list. The people who visit their website, people who submit leads on their website, people who search terms on their website. So making sure that you leverage the remarketing list as a basis. But on top of that, definitely communicate our Google targeting solutions, including in-market audiences, custom intent audiences, and also similar audiences. And definitely, if a clients are using CRM data, they could use our customer match. If they are collecting Gmail or phone number of their customer, they could use our customer match to re-engage with their CRM users. So now I'm going to go into the demo to show you how to set up these three type of audiences. So I'm using a demo account. So this is a whitelist advertisers. So this is the AdWords Next platform. If you have not seen that, make sure that if you are not familiar with this, make sure that you receive AdWords Next training from our account managers. So where to find the audiences to set up? Always remember that on the right-hand side of the tools, there's an audience manager under the share library. So this is the portal where you could see all the audiences that you have under specific advertisers. So in terms of the similar audience, what we usually typically see is that a lot of our client, they don't set up the similar audience because they don't know where they are. So go to the audience manager and click on the audience list. And under the not in use, you'll be able to see all kinds of similar audiences. And this is very often overlooked by our advertiser because similar audiences will automatically generate it under the audience list. And if you don't set up, then you actually won't target them. So if you want to target similar audiences, you have to go to the audience list and check the not in use list. You'll be able to see a bunch of similar audiences available for your clients. So that would be the similar audiences. And where to find the in-market audiences to target. So now I'm going to demo where to find the in-market audiences. So still under the audience manager, and under the audience manager, they'll be able to see all the audience information. So under the audience insights, we typically can see that, we'll be able to tell you based on the audiences that you have, we'll be able to tell you what is the demographic breakdown of gender and age, and also location and devices. But at the bottom of the audience insight, our system also is also able to identify the most relevant in-market audiences. So here is where you would help your advertiser to set up the in-market audiences. And our system we use the a different kind of data signals and machine learning to help our advertisers to find out the most relevant in-market audiences. And some are very intuitive, some are not. So you can see here that this is a jewelry type of client. So quite a lot of in-market audiences are related to jewelry, cosmetics, healthcare. But there's also some not the intuitive type of audiences, including career consulting services or concert and music festival tickets. These are not really jewelry related, but based on our system, that we're able to find out people who are showing intent in career consulting or concert and music festival are also interested in jewelry brand. So this is very important that using our in-market audiences recommendation to help you set up the most relevant in-market audiences. Sometimes people would just go by their own intuition. If it's a finance client, that we just target financing in market. But our system will tell you that there's also some other opportunity in market audiences based on our system calculation. They are also relevant to a finance client. So definitely refer to this audience insight tab when identifying the in-market audiences. So one thing about in-market audiences that you can also filter based on if you want to target people who are conversion abandoners, that you can also select conversion abandoners, and this will help you to find out the most relevant in-market audiences that are similar to the conversion abandoners. So you can actually filter by different type of audiences, by selecting the audience category. And lastly is the custom intent for display. So for you to create a custom intent for display campaign, that you firstly have to create a display campaign. So you can see here that these are the parameters when creating display campaign. And under the audiences, there will be an option of intent. So there usually are three options: affinity, intent, and remarketing. That you would choose intent, and under intent, that you'll be able to find out custom intent audiences auto-created. So you can either use our auto-created custom intent audiences, or you can also create your own. So we actually would recommend you do both. Custom intent audience. So this is based on the system machine learning, that you'll be able to pick those custom intent audiences based on the system recommendation. You can also do it by yourself by clicking on the new custom intent audiences. So this is the type of audience that we just talked about, that you can use the most relevant keywords and URLs and create an audience package. So for example, let me create audiences that are technology related. So I will use really keywords such as technology. As you can see, once you input the technology, our system will actually recommend additional keywords. If you see anything that's relevant to your advertiser, you can add them. Then you can also add URLs. For example, I'm going to add google.com. as I add in google.com, it will appear, different type of Google related keywords as well. So, by adding keywords and URLs, you will get more and more ideas and search terms, and this will help you to build a custom intent audiences, and also to help you to scale the size of these audiences. So the audience that you create based on the custom intent will be the people, who browse these URLs or who search those terms. That will be able to help you to identify those high intent audiences for your advertisers. And it's currently available for a display campaign. Okay, so that's a demo for the audience targeting. So back to our presentation. So I want to share with you some of the real life example that I have seen, and also help you to overcome, those objections from a client. So we talk about a typical marketing funnel should be starting from prospecting, and by targeting prospect customer, get them to visit the website, that you'll be able to build a retargeting list. And then and by leveraging remarketing list, they'll be able to get the most efficient conversion. But quite a lot of the time that we have seen a lot of advertisers, they just focus on retargeting and they don't do any prospecting at all. They don't think prospecting is important. And why is that? Why you shouldn't do a prospecting? Because retargeting pool could in decline after a period of time, that you would need mid-funnel targeting audiences to expand. And with the prospecting in place, that you'll be able to refresh the retargeting pool, and also you'll be able to get continuous growth in retargeting pool. Our best practices recommendation would be always start with retargeting and similar audiences. Why similar audiences? That's because similar audiences are the users who are modeled based on the remarketing list. So they share the highest similarity to the retargeting users. So always start with the remarketing and similar audiences. And after you do that, then we will recommend you target in market and custom intent. So those are the type of audiences, with the high intent signals. And definitely monitor the changes of remarketing list and also the new visitors. So, audience targeting, one of the very important thing about audience targeting is that you have to monitor the new and returning audiences. And definitely on our Google AdWords, you'll be able to know the remarketing list volume under the audience manager. One of the typical example that we have seen, for clients who only do remarketing, as you can see here, that most of the time, if they just do remarketing, they will be able to build up remarketing list at the beginning. But if they don't do any prospecting at all, the remarketing list will start decline. So make sure that you monitor remarketing list on a regular basis. Once you see the remarketing list is in decline, then you definitely should propose targeting prospecting customers, including similar audience, in-market audiences, custom intent, admin funnel targeting. When you see remarketing lists starting declining, and this is important because this will help you to continually grow remarketing lists, and also this will help you to refresh the remarketing pool, because then you'll be able to constantly get the new customers by doing prospecting. Another example that we have seen across quite a lot of our campaigns is that a client understand the importance of prospecting, but they expect the prospecting customer to convert and achieve the same CPA as a remarketing list. And a lot of the time that we have seen that advertiser expect prospecting to incur the same CPA as remarketing. And how to handle those objections. You should definitely educate your client that prospecting should be primarily optimized on visit, and by nature it should incur higher CPA. So in order for you to do that, you definitely should understand the average time from first impression and conversion path. So these are the information to help you to show to your client, why it would take longer time for prospect customer to convert. And these are information that's actually available under our attribution report. And this is also quite often overlooked. And this will give you a good data to convince your client, why prospecting customer would take longer time to convert. So hence that it will achieve a higher CPA. And a lot of time, I think it's important to use some kind of what-if analysis to convince your advertisers. For example, some of the advertisers that we have seen, they don't do any remarketing list. And in order to convince them, why it's important to do remarketing list, that you can give them some kind of what-if scenario. For example, that through the remarketing list that you have accumulate for 433,000 remarketing users, and assume that 1% out of that, 433,000 remarketing user will convert, they'll be able to achieve 4,300 conversions on top of your existing 18,000 conversions. So these are the type of analysis, require some kind of hypothesis, but you can use this type of analysis to convince your client why they should invest in remarketing lists. You can also do the same for prospecting customer, because, for example, that you'll be able to see from our remarket list that in Hong Kong there's about 1 million financial in market audiences. Let's assume out of the 1 million people, there's a 1% of them will convert. That through that you'll be able to get X amount of conversion. So you will use this kind of analysis to convince your client, if they don't do this, they will lose quite a lot of conversion volume. And this kind of what-if analysis will help your clients to identify, with the audience targeting, they'll be able to get incremental conversion on top of what they currently have. And we find this quite convincing for quite a lot of advertisers. Example 3 is that there are a lot of advertisers, they do understand the importance of prospecting and they do retargeting, but they don't do it very well. So turns out that they spend quite a lot of money on prospecting, but it's not targeting enough, so they don't get a very high quality retargeting pool. Our recommendation for this type of client is definitely basically starting with the targeting the high intent audiences, because for prospecting, it's always important to make sure that you focus on the most relevant audiences, the audience with a high intent. So retargeting and similar audience should go together. You target people who visit your website and also people who are similar to your site visitors. And then you start with the in-market and custom intent. And lastly, you will add a demo and affinity. Quite a lot of time that we've seen a lot of our clients, they starting doing demo and affinity first, which is not the best practices. You always, in order to drive conversion, that you start with the high intent audience first, and then as you see performance, or if you have additional budget, then you will add in demographic and affinity at a later stage. Some of the best practices for audience targeting. For similar audiences, always start with a similar audience based on your converters, because those are people who actually purchase advertiser product. So you definitely should use their model audiences first, and also make sure that your landing page is relevant to your similar audiences, because those are the people who haven't been to a client website. So they're actually new site visitors. So make sure that your landing page for similar audience targeting are relevant for new customers. In market audiences, I think one thing I would like to call out is that make sure that you match your in-market audiences with a specific topic. if possible. Say, for example, if you are targeting market audiences who are interested in buying sedans, and then you probably would also add on a page topic such as autos and vehicles. So your audience and media are aligned with each other. And in terms of the custom intent for display that we have demoed just now, so we definitely recommend to add brand keywords and competitor keywords. And also make sure that you choose your URLs relevant to your product and services, not based on the performing placement. Typical example of that would be that if you are running an ad for a fashion product advertiser, make sure that you add the URL of their competitor, but not the the Amazon or eBay, because those are the shopping portals where the audience on those shopping portals are literally everyone. So make sure that you are only adding a URL that's relevant to your client brand, and definitely would be the competitor brand of the same category would be the ideal choices. And one thing that to call out before we move on to the next topic is always monitor your audience performance. So on AdWords, that you be able to see how are the audience targeting performing as compared to the non-audience targeting. So if you go to your AdWords and you'll be able to see audience versus other. So if you want to monitor how your audience targeting is doing as compared to non-audience targeting, that you can go to the UI and monitor the performance. So this is very important after you set up the audiences, and because this will help you to identify whether your audience targeting are actually working. All right, so we spend quite a lot of time on audience because this is a section where we often see people are not fully utilizing the Google audience targeting solution that we have, or even if they understand different type of audiences, but they don't know what are the best practices, how to set it up, and what is the best way to sequence the prospecting audience, starting from similar audiences and then in market and also custom intent, and lastly would be the demo and affinity. So we spend quite a lot of time on that. And now we're going to spend some time on the automation part. And I think automation part, the typical challenge that we have seen is definitely on bidding. And why bidding is a challenge? And one is that bidding impacts the performance, and also the bidding auction is dynamic. As you know, for a site visitor, also for site converters, how much bid adjustment you need to make on a site converter as compared to a site visitors. And all this kind of adjustment is very dynamic. And also user journey is more complex than ever. And this is about the cross device and keywords path that we have seen. On average, people have 3 or 4 devices, like your personal laptop, your office laptop, your personal phone, your working phone, and people are have different kind of cross-device journey when it comes to purchase, and also people have different kind of keywords path when it comes to buying the product or services. So user journey is getting more and more complex, and if you just look at the touch point on this one specific device or one specific keyword, that you won't be able to fully optimize on all the touch points. And how many factors do you consider before bidding? I think this is a question for you. I don't know what are the typical factors that you're looking at when it comes to bid adjustment and budget shifting. But we definitely see most of the time people just look at CPA, CPC, and try to shift budget. Also, they change bid adjustment based on remarketing list. But there's still quite a lot of factors that you don't consider when it comes to bidding. Other than time, targeting method, retargeting list, location, device. that there are also other factors that will also impact the bidding price, where people will not be able to consider, such as browser or a language operating system, a search query history, or ad creative. And all these are signals available, but by human brain, you won't be able to consider all these factors when you are making a bidding decision. So bidding smart for your business is important, and which is why that we want to introduce our auto bidding solution. And with our auto bidding solution, that you'll be able to use our machine learning to make a bidding decision. Actually, the machine will consider all these different type of signals we just talked about, and based on those different type of signals, they will make the bidding decision based on your campaign goal. So we have four different type of auto bidding solution. One is enhanced CPC. So this is typically the starting bidding solution that we will recommend. If you are still using the manual CPC, and then we definitely will recommend you change to enhanced CPC, as soon as possible, because enhanced CPC is definitely giving you the same result as the manual CPC, but you'll be able to maintain control of your maximum CPC bids. So you can still manage the CPC cap that you have, but with the enhanced CPC, you no longer need to making those CPC adjustment on a daily basis. Our machine will actually help you to optimize, and then you can do very little manual work. So other than enhanced CPC, we also have three other auto bidding solutions. One is maximize conversions. The other is target CPA. The last one will be the target ROAS. The target ROAS, think of it as a target ROI. So we're gonna talk a bit more about each of these bidding solution in the following slides. So enhanced CPC, so this will help you to maximize the bid efficiency while maintaining the same average CPA in a campaign. So we have seen across all our advertisers, after changing from manual CPC to enhanced CPC, that it doesn't affect the average CPA that you're getting on the campaign level. Under the campaign level, there will be some fluctuations, which is normal, but your campaign level CPA will not be changed after you shift from a manual CPC to enhanced CPC. And why that you should do enhanced CPC? Because one, that your CPA performance will not be changed, and secondly, you can still set the maximum CPC for your campaign. So this will help you to warrant some risk. And thirdly, this is purely a machine work. So you no longer have to do the manual CPC adjustment on a daily basis. And this will definitely save you a lot of time when it comes to optimizing a campaign. But if you are a more advanced user that you're already using the enhanced CPC, then you definitely should consider using our target CPA bidding. Our target CPA bidding basically that if you have a campaign that you have run and you'll be able to get a CPA benchmark for a long time, that you definitely should change to target CPA bidding. And this will help you to optimize the campaign based on the CPA goal. And our machine learning will consider all kinds of user behavior and data signals. So this will help you to automate the bidding based on the CPA goal that you're setting. And maximize conversions. So we got quite a lot of questions from our client. What are the occasions that I should use target CPA versus maximize conversions? So we usually recommend if you are almost when you are reaching the budget limit. Say for example, you're running a campaign for 3 weeks, and the campaign duration is 4 months. So usually on the last week, that you probably already spent 80%, 90% of your budget, and you still have 10 to 20% budget that you want to spend. But you also want to make sure that you are maximizing the budget to get the optimal conversion volume. So under such circumstance, that we recommend you use the maximized conversion, because this is very helpful for bidding when you are facing the budget limit. Like at the end of the campaign, you have 10%, 20% budget left, and you want to maximize the conversion for those remaining budget, then we definitely will recommend you switch on the maximized conversion bidding, because this will help you to get the most conversion with your remaining budgets. The last one will be the target ROAS. So target ROAS basically is a target return on ad spend. So this is based on the ROI goal. If your client is tracking conversion value and also the cost per conversion, they probably would use ROI to measure the campaign performance. So for this type of campaign, that we will recommend you use a target ROAS. So ROAS stands for return on ad spend. So if a client is asking for, say, ROI of 1.5, then you will set up target ROAS as 150%. So to summarize the auto bidding, one thing that we'd like to remind you is that there are some minimum conversion required for each type of bidding strategies. That you will need 30 conversion in the last 30 days to be able to run a good target CPA strategies. For target ROAS, because this is based on the ROI, so you would need to have at least 100 conversion in the last 30 days to be able to run a target ROAS. So make sure that your conversion volume meet this criteria. So go back to the AdWords. So I'm going to demo how to adjust those bidding strategies. So go to the setting of your campaign, and under bidding, typically if you're using the manual CPC and not switch on enhanced CPC, the easiest way is to check on this box, and you'll be able to get the enhanced CPC, which is what we recommend for introductory bidding strategy for auto bidding. But enhanced CPC is not a fully automated strategy, because you are not actually optimized toward the campaign goal. So in order for you to optimize toward the campaign goal beyond the click, that we would recommend you use other bidding strategy, for example, target CPA, that based on the campaign that you have run, that you have achieved CPA of 5. So you probably would use 5 as a target CPA, and after that, your campaign will start optimize toward a CPA goal of 5. If you are running a campaign and you have 100 conversion in the past 30 days, then we'll recommend you use a target ROAS. So for example, if your ROAS return on advertising spend is 1.5, so you will put 150%, and our system will start optimize the campaign based on 150% ROAS target. So it's very important to make sure that after you make the changes, make sure that you run the strategy for at least 2 to 3 weeks, because our machine will need time to acquire learning data. So it will take time, for our system to calibrate and also fine tune the bidding. So make sure that you run the campaign for at least 2 to 3 weeks. And secondly, don't change the target ROAS or target CPA too frequently. So once you decide 150 as your target ROAS, make sure that you stay at 150 for at least 2 to 3 weeks, instead of changing to 200 tomorrow, changing to 210 the day after tomorrow, and then change back to 180. Don't make changes too frequently in the first 2 to 3 weeks. Make sure that you let our system to accumulate the learning data, and it will start to calibrate and fine tune itself. If you're interested in doing the bidding strategy A/B test, you could reference to our draft experiment, which is available in the AdWords support. But I would not recommend this draft experiment if you already know what kind of bidding strategy you want to test, because this is usually typically for a client who wants to do target CPA, also target ROS. They don't know which one they should choose. But if your campaign goal is very clear, then you definitely should just start making a change immediately. But if you're not sure what bidding strategy is best for you, you probably will use our draft experiment. So this is like an A/B test. You can test two types of bid strategy at the same time and see which one will give you the better result. But we don't recommend if you already know what kind of bidding strategy goal that you want to achieve. So I'm going to skip this one and go to our last section of our today's training, which is attribution. So why we need to do attribution, I think we explained this quite a lot previously, that people's conversion journey are cross-device, and also people usually involve all kinds of keywords when it comes to making a purchase. For example, booking a hotel, that you start with travel accommodation, and then you start, being more specific, that you will find out that what kind of hotel that you want to stay, and you probably will start in a Gmail, and then browse on the desktop, and then also browse on a mobile device. So a lot of the time that we have seen why we need to do attribution, because no team is complete without a pair of winners pinning the ball into the box. So it's important to make sure that we give every player a credit. Just like a soccer game. It's not the last person who kicked the ball in the box that should be the champion. Everyone is a winner. So make sure that we give the credit to every player, and in this case, we'll be giving the credit to every touch point the user encounters. And this is just some number to prove why last click attribution doesn't work, because 45% of a conversion would take 2 clicks or more. And it's very common to see that a lot of our conversion take more than just 1 click, and also cross conversion device that we have seen. It's not uncommon across all our advertiser. And also keywords pad. You can get this from attribution report. You'll find out people's conversion journey requires 2 or more keywords. And on the AdWords, we have 6 attribution models available, and the default one will be the last click, which means that you will only give the conversion credit to the last touch point. But we also have 5 other alternative attribution models. So like, for example, last click, that you can see that this person tried to buy a Nexus 9 tablet, and before this person searches on the Nexus 9 tablet, they probably would start with a great tech gift and also highly rated tablets. So you can see that as this person reach the conversion, the search terms will become more specific. But if we just do the last click, that only the Nexus 9 tablet would get the conversion credit. But the previous search terms, such as gift or highly rated tablets, would not get a conversion credit at all. And this is not really optimizing the campaign, because in order for a person to identify which tablet to buy, you would start with a very generic terms. And most of the time, generic terms don't get a credit based on the last click conversion. So we have some other conversion attribution that we could do. One is a position base. So position base, which means that it will give the first touch point and the last touch point the highest credit. So for this 12 conversions, the first touch point, which is the tech gift, and the last touch point, Nexus 9 tablet, would get 40% each. So each of them would get 4.8 conversions out of the 12. And the one in the middle would get a 20%, which is 2.4 conversions. So this is all based on the position. The first position and the last position would get a highest credit. The one in the between would get a 20%. Linear, which is quite easy to understand, which means that every touch point would get the same credit. So in this case, that 12 conversion will be split by 1/3 for each of the touch point. So each of the touch point would get 33%, which is 4 conversions each. And time decay. So time decay is most close to the last touch point, because the touch point close to the conversion would get the highest credit. So in this case, the Nexus 9 tablet would get the highest weightage. 55% is just a random number, but you can see the latest touch point close to the conversion would get the highest credit, and the one that are further from the conversion will get the lowest credit. So Great Tech Gift will get a 10% credit, which is the lowest. So all the aforementioned attribution are based on human judgment, that you think that the first click is important, that you would use the first click. You think every touch point should be the same, that you will use a linear. If you think that the first and the last is important, that you will use position based. And if you think that the last touch point is more important than all the other, they use time decay. So we want to introduce our data-driven. So this is actually based on the machine learning. So we will not arbitrarily give credit to any of the touch point. So we will be calculating the click-through rate, conversion rate, and all the other audience signal, and decide which touch point should get the highest weightage. So in this case, it could be the first touch point based on our click-through rate, conversion rate, and audience signal that we think they should give the highest weightage. So data-driven definitely compared to the rule-based model are definitely more objective, and also we take converting and non-converting path into account, and it's actually distributed based on the algorithm. So it's not based on a human judgment that whether position or time, which position or which time is more important. So it's not based on that. It's all based on the machine learning, and that's why that we recommend, if you want to do attribution, that you definitely should prioritize on a data-driven attribution. And there's a requirement for implementing data-driven attribution in AdWords. Firstly, our attribution is currently available only for search campaign. So in the future, that we will be releasing a Google attribution solution. They'll be able to do cross-channel, cross-campaign attribution, cross-video search and display. But right now, our AdWords attribution is applicable to search. But why that you should still consider using our AdWords attribution? Because a lot of the time that your search campaign is not fully optimized, and you definitely should use our AdWords attribution to help you further optimize your search campaign. But there's a minimum requirement to make. One is that it will require 600 conversions in the last 30 days, and also have with 15,000 search clicks in the last 30 days to be able to eligible for a data-driven attribution. So how to change the attribution setup on the AdWords? As you can see here, that go to the tools, and under the conversion, they'll be able to get the conversion tagging that you have. Click on your conversion tag and edit the settings. So the default would be the last click, and we will recommend you use time decay if you don't have data-driven eligible, because to be eligible for data-driven, you need to have at least 600 conversion in the last 30 days. And a lot of time, some of our clients, they don't have this, they don't get 600 conversion in the last 30 days. Under such circumstance, we recommend you use time decay. But there's, if you want to get data-driven attribution model eligible, other action that you can consider taking is to get additional conversion tracking. So this will help you quickly accumulate enough conversions. If you don't want to do that, then we will recommend you use time decay, because this will help you to prioritize on the last click, but you also be able to get credit for other touch point. So we definitely see time decay as a best alternative if you don't have data-driven eligible. Once you have data-driven eligible, then you will be able to see that data-driven as one of the option, and it will be that you'll be able to select the data-driven. So in this case, because this client doesn't have enough conversion balance, so they can only do time decay. So you will save the attribution, and then we can change to time decay. So a lot of questions that we get from client about attribution is what's going to happen after I make the changes. One is that you still be able to keep your historical data. So any data before today that you still be able to get those conversion numbers unchanged. So there won't be any impact to your historical data. For the upcoming data, that you will start seeing conversion number in decimals, because it will start distribute the conversion credit. So don't be surprised if you start seeing 5.3 conversion, 4.7 conversion. But this is definitely will help you to better optimize your search campaign by changing to a non-last click model. Then you can start using our attribution model to help you, better shift the budget and also help you better assess the search keyword performance. So you will not just focus on brand terms. You will also be able to balance between the brand terms and generic terms by changing to a non-last click attribution model. So that's the end of the 3A, audience, auto bidding, and attribution. So last thing I would like to point out is that these three are important to implement all together, because you'll be able to get the optimized result out of the three. With the audience and auto bidding, they'll be able to use our audience signal to help you automate and the campaign. And with our attribution and auto bidding, you'll be able to, once you change the attribution to the non-last click model, that you'll be able to get additional clicks, so that you'll be able to get more data signals for your auto bidding decision making. So it's important that to bear in mind that audience automation and attribution are that should go hand in hand. They are smarter together, because with the audience, that you'll be able to get more signal when it comes to the bidding decision. And once you change the attribution to the non-last click, any touch point before the last click will become additional data signals for our system to consider. So it's also help you to get a better decision for auto bidding. So attribution, automation, audience, they definitely should be implemented all together. Then you'll be able to maximize the data signals for your campaign. And to summarize, that firstly, target remarketing and mid-funnel audiences for your all ad groups, including similar audience in market and custom intent. And custom intent is available for display. And use bid only, which is observation when it comes to audience targeting. And also use auto bidding to leverage the audience signals. And we definitely encourage you to use target CPA or target ROAS to get a full automation. You can also start with the enhanced CPC, but this will only give you the semi auto bidding effect. And definitely use our data-driven attribution. If you don't have the data-driven attribution eligible, we recommend you use the time decay. And here's come to the end. Just to remind you, we have a mini challenge for you. So advertising of the future is using our Google technology to help you to better optimize the campaign. And audience auto bidding and attribution are all the features that leverage our Google's data signals. We definitely would like you to implement audience auto bidding attribution for your client. So please implement at least 5 out of your key CIDs. And after you do that, you'll be able to receive a prize. And make sure that you enroll in this mini challenge by April 10th. By April 10th, please make sure that you submit all your CIDs, your client CIDs, so we'll be able to monitor implementation. And the challenge period will be starting from now to April 24th. So you have almost a month to implement this. So this should give you ample time to implement the 3A for your client. And some tips for you to understand. One is that you have to implement all of the 3As instead of one of the A's. So make sure that you implement audience and auto bidding and attribution all together instead of just one. And secondly, if the same CID is submitted by another participant, only one will be counted. So make sure that you allocate the CID across your teammates, so all of you can get a prize by Google. And now it's a Q&A. We have about 5 minutes. Okay, I see there is no questions from the audiences, but I think there's a lot of information to process. So definitely reach out to me and also our Google account team if you have any of the questions. And we encourage you to sign up for the mini challenge. Make sure that you enroll your CIDs by April 10th. And you'll be able to implement the 3A solution. And after you do that, you'll be able to receive a prize from Google. And also in terms of the product updates, if you want to learn more about the Gmail ad campaigns, please contact our Google account team. They will help you to try this the Google Gmail product that we have. And lastly, please share your feedback by visiting this URL. And the deadline would be March 30th. So make sure that you share your feedback with us by March 30th. And thanks for your listening. And I hope this session is useful. And if you have any follow-up questions, definitely let our team know. And we will be sharing more and more product and also exciting features with you in the upcoming quarter through our agency partner academy. Thanks for your time. I'm Rupert Lai, and I hope you have a great day.